things that will definitely help you learn a lot. Anytime you have those moments that sting, note them down, because when you're rewatching the replay, you'll look at the situation and just be like, oh yeah, wow, maybe I really should have that pylon there. Again, it's one of those little mechanics things. The only big strategy thing we've really discussed so far is attacking and not attacking. Everything else is little tiny mechanics. And the Immortal's coming out. Looks like he's going to have to retreat a little bit. A lot of players don't hotkey their warp gates. They just use the W hotkey. That's fine. Just as long as you try to keep it on the brain and continue macroing. And look at that. Nice shift queuing. Just shot down 2 of those Marauders right away. And getting in there with the Zealots. Excellent. The Zealots are fantastic against Marines. So some pretty decent crisis management by center play. That I actually consider to be the hardest thing to do, is just maintaining focus in a crisis and not forgetting about stuff. I always feel all smug when I'm in the middle of this huge battle and I come back here and I like build a probe, because I'm like, oh, thinking in the long term. And you guys should get smug too. Nothing wrong with being smug by yourself in the room without anyone there. Don't try to get on forums and try to be smug, because it'll get you banned. So here comes the good old killing, and it looks like Protoss has barely managed to survive right now. So let's talk a little bit about mechanics at this point. So if I pause and I go to the unit counting station, we notice that center play is barely ahead. Coming up to units, it looks like Protoss really didn't get ahead in terms of building things. He still has just 25 probes, and these 25 probes have all been here all along. None of them came out into battle, and that is concerning, because you heard me say, oh, I'm always all smug when I remember, oh yeah, I needed to make probes. This is the time when, you know, I'm proud of that smugness, you know, because here I'm noting that there's just not that many workers. In a battle, you should still be trying to make some extra workers. And again, that's what's nice about 4, 5, 6 spamming, to just check up on all these units. And also, you know, we have the Forge making, but notice that this Nexus is at 72 energy. Chrono boosting only really happened after the battle was done. This Nexus is at 82 energy. Again, little tiny things that help way more than probably people think that they do. Because, I mean, people have heard me say this when I was reviewing Starcraft 1, when I was watching D and D plus replays, that most D and D plus players have a pretty good sense of the right strategies to do. It's all these little things, as they call it. Little things like, oh, I forgot a depot, I forgot to build units and workers, and wasn't watching the mini-map, and I attacked at a dumb time. But for the most part, yeah, I get that I'm one factory expanding and getting a fast armory for upgrades. Yeah, I'm cool with that. But it's all those little things that are really what separate the D-level players from, like, the B+, A- level players. There are really not that much of a difference between those two ranges. And for any of you who aren't familiar with the ICCUP ratings, this would be the equivalent of me saying there's really not that much difference between any gold player and the 1900, 2000 level platinum players. It's just mechanics. Really, it's just mechanics are such a huge roadblock. So that's why we're taking the time to review these sort of silver gold level replays, where these players are, where their mistakes might be a little bit more obvious. You know, for instance, okay, he still has not yet transferred his probes, and when he transfers, oh no, look, there's only 4 that are being transferred. They're a little bit more explicit. But for the most part, Protoss is doing a completely reasonable thing against the Terran. Primarily warp gates with a dash of robotics facility. Just for observers mainly, and some immortals to get in there when there's some sort of cute stuff that's needed. And it looks like we have Trios. We're not going to focus on too much this game, but it looks like he's getting an armory so he can continue to upgrade his infantry, getting these medevacs, also having 2 tech labs so we can get Ravens. Pretty smart, because his gas is building up for making that primarily infantry army. But center play, you know, oh, whoops, a messed up rally point. Oh no. So I would probably say that there's 4 or 5 major things to think about from this game, and we'll try to summarize those at the end, because I want to treat this as much like center play analyzing himself as it is us analyzing center play. So those cannons going down, I think that this is more of a judgment question. This is kind of hard to figure out whether you should be building these defenses or not. I think it's reasonable to note center play's mental state at this point, to be like, well, yeah, he just almost died. Of course he's going to want to make cannons for defense. Also good that he's upgrading, but, you know, of course he's going to want to make cannons. That's normal. But a lot of times, the hard part is taking an observer, seeing this, and being like, my god, that sure is a lot of units. Can I hold that, or can't I hold that? That's very, very, very difficult to do. So I would just keep that on the brain. This is the sort of thing that anytime you see that and you go, ugh, that's a lot of guys, and then you come back here and you make defenses, it's pretty useful to rewatch the replay and to go, oh, well, yeah, he's actually losing money in his main. He's almost broke. Wow, yeah, Terran is just as worried about dying as I, the Protoss, am. And then you can kind of get a little bit of confidence. In fact, that's where all my confidence comes from, is rewatching these replays and going, oh, no, yeah, that's actually really good for me. I had no idea. And this is actually pretty clever by Treos. You know, he has like the double destructible rock. I just want to throw that out there. I don't think a lot of players do this. It's a vulnerability for immortal drops, but, you know, say in other matchups, I think this is pretty cool. Might be something to think about. But anyways, back to center play. Now this is probably the big struggle where we have to manage two different bases at once. And it's not just that there's extra units. The problem for silver players is that there's different screens. There's, okay, I have to do stuff here, and then here's my gateways up here, and then here's my other nexus up here, and there's an upgrader here. The fact that there's so many screens is difficult in terms of game scope, just for the brain to remember. And I mean, little things getting screwed up, like this queuing, you know. Queuing is bad. Don't queue. This is really bad. Think for a moment if this immortal was not making the second immortal. Well, gee, that would be 500 minerals. Oh, maybe I can build some extra gateways. And oh, yeah, I'd have 100 extra gas. Oh, well, yeah, I could get this research started a lot earlier. Obviously, very, very good things to have happen. So, big reason not to queue. So that's another thing that I would say, another one of those big difference between, like, silver and gold level players and platinum level players is queuing. The fact that these platinum level players just go, oh, well, or excuse me, these gold and silver level players go, oh, well, I have no money, I guess I must be awesome. But, of course, if you queue up an immortal, you're suddenly cutting yourself off from, like, 2 more gateways. So you watch a platinum level player play, and he's broke, but he has 6 gateways in a robo. You watch a gold or silver level player play, and they're broke, but then they have 4 gateways. It's all because there's a little bit of inefficiency in terms of queuing, perhaps making too many pylons. I don't quite mind the food that Protoss is at here. He's at 93 of 124. But, you know, that's something that is a little bit, you know, mildly concerning at the very least, that you can't quite get that production capacity up. Yeah, because look for a moment. Look at this. Notice that, let me actually rewind just a second here. So let's just watch this robotics facility. And I want you to be glancing at this robotics facility and thinking about the money. Let's just think about this for a moment. Now watch that right as that, oh man, the timing's so close. Let me actually get to right before the immortal ends up finishing, just so that's very, very explicit. So watch the money. Okay, so watch now. This immortal has just started. It's been in the queue for so long. But notice that charge costs 200 minerals and 200 gas. That means that center play could have started this research for charge earlier, because we see 200 gas here, and still could have started this immortal exactly on time. So again, a great illustration of that right there. A little bit passive with the army. Understand the passivity. Makes sense because he almost died earlier, but take those units and kill off these destructible rocks, because you know what? You have an observer here, or, you know, theoretically used to. No, it looks like it did get scanned and killed off, but if you put a probe here, you could go kill this thing off, and then when you see the force come out, you go, oh, cool, and you happily pull back, no problem at all. So we do have the immortals continuing to be made, and now I think we're really starting to see as center play, man, I really could have made those extra gateways. Look at how high I am on money. But then another problem happens when you're center play. You go, oh man, well, I do have this money, but I don't want to spend it because I just mined out in my main. You know, you transfer workers, and then you start spending, and because you're back on one base again, you think, oh man, I really can't afford those gateways, and your money kind of hangs stagnant. When really the answer is that, hell, make more gateways earlier, kill off the golden rocks earlier, expand earlier, and then everything's great. There's just a general slowing of the strategy. So center play, notice, he's doing everything great for a Protoss player. Look, he's getting his 2-1 upgrades, he's getting Blink, he has a lot of immortals, he's continuing to make observers, we see a lot of gateway units being made. I especially like Blink because we see there are Banshees here. I mean, intuitively, center play is doing correct things. He's doing pretty damn well, you know, especially I like this forge timing. That's something that platinum players often neglect. But I mean, it's all these little things like the timing, you know, the fact that there wasn't a spotter pylon here to watch for these Banshees. The Observer's a little bit far behind. But, you know, where's the blink? Oh, there's no blink. Even blinking from the minerals 5 feet away to here is useful. It really just gets in the face a little bit more of these Banshees. But, I mean, everything else is great. I mean, looks good. It's just a little bit too passive. So that's one thing that I think should be the main lesson to every single person who's watching this, is to think, wow, yeah, there's mechanics that I need to work on here. And if I did that, my strategy would be 1,000 times better. Now look what passivity does. Well, since I haven't killed off these destructible rocks, this is the nearest safe expo for me. And really, it's not that safe, because look at the attack distance. It's like super short. But I mean, from